Welcome back. This is part 6 of the tutorial series on Jarkai or dual wheeled spins. This is the last video on simultaneous spins. Okay, now if we recall from the others, that's both blades moving the same direction at the same time, even if they're on opposite sides of the body. Alright, so the last move that I wanted to cover, you'll remember that when we were dealing with single saber, we went from the single spin to the crossover to the Obiani. Okay, this time around we've left the Obiani out as we've gotten into the clock face and a few of the others. But the Obiani spin can be done in parallel. What that means, though, if you recall when my blade was on the other side of my body, when I moved them over here, blades are going in the same direction, but this wield looks like an upward wield, whereas this wield looks like a downward wield, because they're on opposite sides of my body. Alright, if we're doing that with Obianis, if this one is going to be a downwards Obiani because it's in a downwards wield, this one is going to have to be an upwards Obiani. Now, if you recall, that was one of these. If this is an unfamiliar move to you, you're going to have to go back and look at some of the earlier videos, because you can't do a simultaneous without knowing this inverted one. And it's a little bit more arcane than some of the other moves, perhaps. Alright, so what happens when we do that simultaneous Obiani? Okay, we're going to start with that single simultaneous blade, and then we're going to do an Obiani with this hand, an inverse Obiani with this hand. And you notice I'm moving my body with the blades. And when we come in for that, when the Obiani would be here and the inverse would be here, I've got sort of this ski pole sort of maneuver here. So like this, ski pole maneuver, and then back around. So this is the simultaneous parallel Obiani, and I can do the inverse with this hand if I want, and do the regular with this hand. Same basic move. I generally recommend try them both out, but start with whichever move is least comfortable to you in your offhand, or sorry, in your regular dominant hand. Start with the harder move in your more dominant hand. Move the easier move to the weaker hand. That'll help you get into the move. Now that dual Obiani that I just showed you, we can work that into a dual plum flower by adding it to the clock face. The clock face was a beat here, a beat here, a beat here, and then a beat here. This was the clock face. To add in the Obiani, from this downward wield right here, I add in another, and then come over to the upward wield, like that. And basically, what I'm getting there is I'm getting a dual plum flower. Beat, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, well, messed that up there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so a 5-beat plum flower in parallel around the body. Now, after you get all of these moves down, I encourage you, mix them together, play with them a little bit. You'll notice that you can add in a crossover, and then throw the Obiani, and then do another crossover, and then isolate the spins for a second. But basically play with it. I think one of my favorites is actually a 7-beat version of a plum flower. That's a crossover, beat, Obiani, beat, crossover, transition, So this is basically a 7-beat version of a simultaneous plum flower. It's 7-beat because I've added 2 crossovers to a regular plum flower. You don't want to start with something like this, but as you're practicing your parallel blade work up to something like this. And just to show you what this is in slow motion, crossover, regular, obiene, regular, crossover, transition, and repeat. Alright, that's pretty much it for the parallel blade work. Next time around we're going to get into the alternating, and then we'll be putting some of it together towards the end of the series. But until then, I'll see you on the forums.